Hey everyone, thank you for clicking on my video. As you can tell from the title, this is my top 10 thoughts on the new Final Fantasy VII Remake. Let me know if you enjoy this video. If not, let me know also, and what you'd like to see from me in the future. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel, as well as check out our Facebook, where we have our Jettison Life podcast every Saturday morning. Now, without further ado, let's jump into my top 10 thoughts on Final Fantasy VII, the Remake. Final Fantasy VII. What can anyone say about this game other than that it is probably, more likely, their first love ever? So for my number 10, I'm going to talk about the new graphics and the gameplay. So I've seen a lot of updated and modded versions of this game, and everybody does a pretty good job at cleaning it up a little bit. But let's just take a look at these couple images, and oh my god. This game looks and feels amazing, and I've just been watching it. I really think that this game is going to blow our minds as long as everybody is open-minded about it. Midgar looks gorgeous. I really just think having some of the updated graphics are going to make Midgar feel so much more than what it was in the original Final Fantasy. In the original Final Fantasy, my favorite time in the game was in Midgar, and I'm honestly 100% glad that they're going to be putting the first game in Midgar. Looking at the gameplay, it's no surprise that it's going to be more of a action RPG with some active time battle elements into it, more like probably along the lines of Final Fantasy XIII, which I know everybody hated Final Fantasy XIII. However, I'm okay with Final Fantasy XIII's gameplay, as long as they make it fun enough and complicated enough that it's a little bit of a challenge. I don't want it to just be a smash and smash and smash Shinra soldiers all day long. I feel like properly done, I think that the gameplay in this game can really take some of the old school turn-based antics of the PS1 era games and use some of the active time battle in this era and make it into something melded beautifully into this cornucopia of gameplay where you have tons of action, but you also can slow things down and be more strategic. I mean, if anyone thought that this game wasn't going to update the gameplay and graphics, I think they're nuts, because honestly, I think it is great. I'm not going to complain if they change things up a little bit, and based on the trailers, it does look like that they are keeping to the essential essence of the Final Fantasy VII game, which is really all it is chase Sephiroth. Fingers crossed, guys. Fingers crossed. So my number 9 is going to be something that all of us noticed in the trailer, which is the new fights with the Turks, as well as the new Soldier First class that is wielding one of Zack's blades from Crisis Core. Honestly, I'm okay with this. I think them fighting the Turks a lot throughout the game is going to obviously be a plus. I want to see more of Reno and Rude in this remake, because honestly, they were some of the highlights from the Advent Children movie. I'm just going to put it out there, and it's going to be nice to see more from Soldier in this game. I always wondered why in the original game there were no other soldiers going around besides Cloud, Zack, and obviously Sephiroth. It made no sense that they had this elite force, but we only ever saw like 3 people. And I know Crisis Core had some people as well, but playing back in the 90s and wondering these things, it was pretty blatant of a plot hole if my teenage brain could figure that out. So I'm glad they're going to be expanding upon this part. Okay, hypocrite time. I really hope that they don't add a ton of Sephiroth content in this game. I know what you're thinking, but wait, you just said you wanted to change it. Well, guess what? Sephiroth is one of those things in this game that is, the less you know, the more intriguing it is. I think that maybe if they add some flashes here and there of Sephiroth, and I know that we've already seen Cloud confronting Sephiroth in probably some flashbacks, but really, what was Sephiroth in the original? Besides a sword and President Shinra's back. Until you get to Calm, which you get the entire dump-spo-vision of the entire backstory of Cloud and Sephiroth. So here's hoping in this game that they consider less is more, and we really don't see too much of Sephiroth. Because I would rather much this first game be more of Shinra being the main villain. Then we can move on to Sephiroth being the main villain in the following game. Sephiroth is cool and all, but in this case, I really believe less is more. So I have one or two concerns about Red 13 in this game. Now, in the original game, as we all know, you don't get Red 13 until you're near the end of the Midgar section of the game. So does this mean that we're going to get Red 13 earlier in this game? Or are we going to get him right around the same time and we won't have him for very long? My number 7 is just talking about Red 13, and he's one of my favorite characters in the game. He's pretty well balanced. He kind of reminds me of a red mage. He does good magic, some decent physical attack. So it'd be a shame if we only get him for a little bit in this game, but honestly, if they're only going to put him in for just the very end of the game, I'd almost prefer them to wait. But depending on how they change the story, you may go to Shinra HQ in the middle of the game and still have plenty of gameplay left in Midgar before you move on to part 2. Not saying I want that. I just am a little confused and concerned about how Red 13 is going to fit into this whole thing.
Number 6 on my list is going to be my thoughts on the main characters, Cloud, Tifa, Barret, and Aerith. And I'm not going to include Red 13 because I just talked about him. So let's talk about Cloud first. What is Cloud? Cloud is what everybody thinks he is a blank slate. Although Cloud has more of a dry sense of humor, there's not much to him outside of the fact that he's confused, he's in Soldier, he's got a lot of gaps and lapses in his memory, and obviously Tifa knows something that he don't. I hope with this character they gave him a little more personality in this one. However, I kind of see their angle where they were going with making him a blank slate for players. Moving on to Tifa, I really don't want them to make Tifa this cutesy little, oh, I'm little, but I pack a big wallop. No, I want a snarky and a badass Tifa. I want her to be confident and not pining for anything besides the ass kickery that she's going to be giving. I've always been more of a fan of her and Cloud's relationship rather than Cloud and Aerith's relationship. And I think now with the expansion of Midgar, I think they have a chance to really explore this because everything is kind of rushed in the very beginning of Midgar, and you don't get to really see Cloud and Tifa interact too much until they get to Calm after Midgar. Next up is Barret. Barret, you don't change, not one little bit. Now we move on to Aerith, which is a point of contention of mine only because Aerith is not my favorite character in Final Fantasy VII, and I know everybody's like, but she dies. Well, when she died in my original playthrough, I didn't care too much. I actually thought it was a blessing. I get it that she has white magic and that she's more of a healer with her limit breaks, but at the same time, anyone can be that. If you adjust your materia the right way, anyone can be a healer. Everyone's a red mage at this point. So for me, it was really a reprieve halfway through the game where I had to worry about one less party member, especially Aerith. I think that they're going to expand her role a little bit going into the remake. However, as I said, I've been more of a fan of the Cloud Tifa character interactions rather than the Cloud Aerith. Aerith is just kind of that cutesy slums girl that you think kind of doesn't know what she's doing, but in all actuality, she knows more than she lets on. I think Team 4 Stars Machina Bridge pegged her the exact way that they thought about her in the writer's room. The whole Cetra part of thing, I hope they keep it, but at the same time, she was only important in the very beginning of the game and the very end of the game. You may now all crucify me for me not liking Aerith.
Breaking down my number 5 is going to be the Wall Market. This part of Midgar always seems to be a fan favorite of everyone. You have a great time, Aerith and Tifa meet for the first time, tensions are high, Cloud cross-dresses, there are squats, it's all a great time. But I really hope they expand on the Wall Market. More than just one street or a brothel and a bunch of shady places selling a bunch of shady stuff. I want more shady stuff. And Don Corneo, well, he already looks creepy as heck. But I'm hoping we get to see more creepiness. Tifa and Aerith's interactions I think will be very interesting here based on how they go with the characters. I'm just looking forward to these interactions between these two just because, as I said previously, I think Aerith knows a little bit more than she leads on, and I kind of want Tifa just to be a snarky ass. I think if they increase the scope of the Wall Market, I think it'll add a lot more fun. Plus, this is a great area to do a lot of side quests and bonus content. But with that, that leads us into our number 4. Now let's talk about an open world Midgar. Number 4 is going to be the scope of Midgar and how much we can actually explore going into this Final Fantasy VII Remake. Do we want to have all 8 Midgar sections available to us? And do we want to explore the entire upper and lower plate? Or do we want to keep it to the condensed areas in which the original game provided us? I honestly feel like we need to get access to the entire city by the end of the game. And I know that sounds a bit Assassin's Creed-ish. However, I think it fits with the makeup of Midgar. I also feel like that this would be the way that the original creators would have done it if they had the technology back when the game first came out. It's obvious that they put a lot of love and care into Midgar in the beginning of the game. I want to see more of the slums. I want to see more of the working class on the upper section of Midgar. As I said in the previous one, I really hope that there's a lot of bonus content and a lot of side quests that help us explore Midgar and give us just more depth to this area of Midgar that I love so much. I know that, a lot of people always say, oh, you should be able to get out of Midgar in the first, 4 to 6 hours. I usually take about 10 hours in Midgar because it's my favorite part of the game and I just want more from Midgar. Number 3 is going to be the expansion of the Avalanche trio of Jesse, Biggs, and Wedge. We all know Biggs and Wedge through many other Final Fantasy games, and they're beloved. And also, Jessie in this game kind of has that innocent but slummy girl take on her. She's kind of pining for Cloud a little bit. And I'm glad we get to spend more time with these characters. And if they do die towards the end of the game, it'll give a little bit more oomph to their deaths. A lot of people say that these characters don't mean much to the story, but honestly, back when I first played Final Fantasy VII, these character deaths meant more to me than Aerith did in the middle of the game, and I had more time with Aerith. I really feel like that when they expand these characters into one game, we're really going to be mad and sad when they get killed off by Shinra, and it'll put more of a vendetta in our hearts than we did in the original game. Plus, it kind of fills out the ranks for this first game. Because I'm not going to lie, I don't like the idea of not having a full party available to me throughout most of this game. But if Jesse, Biggs, and Wedge become full-fledged party members that you can level up and train, I really feel like that'll fill things out enough where we don't feel so much of a drag on the party. Okay, so here comes a big point of contention with a lot of people in Final Fantasy VII. Now, Final Fantasy VII is a broken story. I love the game. It wins me over every time with nostalgia. However, the story is broken. The only way you can get the full story of Final Fantasy VII is if you play all of the adjacent games. I remember playing the first time through Final Fantasy VII and loving it, but the story made no sense. It was confusing, and it was just really hard to follow. And by the end of it, I just love junctioning materia and chasing Sephiroth. I really hope they do a better job this time with the story and how they deliver it. Make it a little less confusing. Try to implement some things earlier so it is less confusing, like the Zack story. And just try to streamline some things that just get way too complicated that don't need to be. I hope they really do a rewrite of some of the story, following the same principles. However, I really do want them to kind of make some updates and show that we've developed a little bit as a society with our story writing, and we can actually manage many of these confusing storylines, but make them manageable for people to follow. Also, the average gamer is a little bit more enlightened, so hopefully that'll also help, as well as flush out some of the side stories that are just underutilized in the main game. I think that once we get past this first game and they kind of dig a little bit deeper into Yuffie's story and Vincent's story and make them required characters rather than optional characters, I feel like that'll just be better for the game. I mean, who doesn't get Yuffie and Vincent whenever they play anyway? Make them main characters, make their story count within the confines of the main story of the game. And for God's sake, can we finally find out who officially Cait Sith is? I'm looking at you, Reeve. So number 1 is going to be my excitement for this game all being in Midgar. I know I've said it throughout this entire video, and I'm going to end on this one because this is the thing that I am most excited about. Final Fantasy VII's Midgar is a hodgepodge of just so much intrigue and mystery and had so much potential in the original game. There's just so much there to explore that I feel like was missed in the original version. I know everyone is sitting there thinking, God, this guy loves Midgar a little bit too much. I just love this whole section of the game. Sometimes I'll start this game and I'll make it to the end of Midgar, and then I won't play it after that. And I know it sounds stupid and lame, because the rest of the game is pretty good. But Midgar is just that one place that caught my eye so well when I was first starting to play RPGs. So I'm not going to hamper on this note too much, other than we made it, everybody. It was announced eons ago that there would be a Final Fantasy VII Remake. We have a release date. We can make our pre-orders. Everybody get hyped and have an open mind until the game comes out. If the game sucks after it comes out, okay, I don't have a leg to stand on. But based on the trailers, everybody just get hyped. I really feel like that this will be a great addition to the Final Fantasy franchise. And even though it's already been done, I feel like this is going to be more of something new rather than a rehashing of something old. Thank you everybody for watching my video. I appreciate your time, and don't forget to like and subscribe. Join our Nerd Nation Facebook. Check out our podcast on Saturday. I'm Jason. Peace out.